Good morning to all of you. Today is the day 7 of 2 weeks faculty development program on entrepreneurship, sponsored by Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India, organized by Institute Innovation Council, School of Biomedical Sciences and School of Business, Galgotia University. Today we have three keynote speakers in this session. Dr. Ashutosh Pastor sir, Mr. Partha Sen sir, and Manveen Chadha sir. Dr. Ashutosh Pastor sir will deliver the keynote talk on promoting innovation ventures, role of technology business incubator. We are highly grateful to have Ashutosh sir as a keynote speaker at this event. Dr. Ashutosh sir is currently working as head and senior manager incubation in Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Previously, he has worked as manager, biotechnology business incubator facility, FITT, IIT Delhi. He was the visiting scholar, University of Pittsburgh, USA. He has awarded PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology from the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and received MSc degree in microbiology from Jivaji University. He has published several research papers in highly reputed SCI Index journal. So we are very thankful, sir, to you have accepted our invitation and grace this occasion as a keynote speaker, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. Very good morning to all the faculty members present here today. Uh, it's very interesting and good to know that a lot of faculty members are actually interested uh, in entrepreneurship now. And given that with the the new education policy and the innovation policy, I think there's a lot of push from the Ministry of Education side itself to actually support entrepreneurship, and that's what I think we can discuss it large. I won't keep it much of like a lecture, but I would like you to interact and ask questions with the time that we have. I'll just give you a brief overview of what kind of activities we do as an incubator and what is expected out of us. But maybe I'll keep it short, half an hour, and then I would maybe suggest let's have more of discussions, and I'll be happy to answer your questions around anything related to startup incubation programs and all those things. So let's keep it that way. Before we begin, how many faculty members are here who are not yet having an incubation unit in their campuses? If you can just maybe raise hands through the app or
Yes, sir. Participants are allowed to switch on their camera as well as unmute themselves. So, dear participant, we would like to request you so kindly uh, make the interactive session because you will learn, you will get an opportunity to discuss with the reputed speakers and the resource person who can help you to establish the incubator at your institution.
right. So I hope all of you have institute innovation councils at least. I mean, that's one thing that is now promoted by the Ministry of Education. And that's the first step in a way to kind of start an incubation program. Uh, there's a lot talked about a physical incubator in terms of like having a space and facilities and infra and all that. But our major part is actually beyond that. So that's one part which is important for an incubator. But the mentoring and other activities that we do as an incubator makes the most important part of a startup incubator. I will share a small presentation maybe, and then we can discuss further. All right. I hope all of you are able to see this.
Yes, sir, it
Yes,
is
sir.
visible.
All right. So the whole idea of a startup incubator, and just before that we start, I'll just give a glimpse of like how we started, so that I mean we can have a sense of the journey. FITT was registered as a society in 1992 by IIT Delhi. The whole mandate was to commercialize technology that is developed at the institute. And likewise, all of you are doing some teaching and research. You're actively mentoring students. So things that we feel can actually be taken forward towards commercialization should be taken towards commercialization and actually create an impact with the research and the technology that you develop, or the problems that you identify for solving. So with that mandate, we started that journey. In 1999, we started an active incubation program. That was again at that point of time, even the word startup was not really well known. So we just used to say that we help entrepreneurs create new businesses, and startup wasn't really a buzzword the way it is now. Uh, so and at that point of time, there were not too many funding programs also available for startups. It was more of like we started with a leap of faith that, okay, we'll be able to provide some business guidance. We bring in industry mentors and help people coming from technology background to at least start doing some business. So we started with that mandate. And eventually in 2006, we were able to move to a new facility where we had about 10 startup lab, 10 startup modules and 3 labs, again, very small ones. We could support just 12, 13 startups at one point of time. The whole ecosystem started growing much uh, after 2012, 2014, when startup actually became like a buzzword, and government also started multiple programs to support startups. So in 2014, we started the biotechnology business incubation facility. Then we had space for 25 companies at one point of time. Now we have moved to the research park. So in this slide on the left, if you see, this is the new building where our incubation is housed now. So it's been a journey. So it's not that we created everything in one go. So that's what I generally suggest, institutions that are actually building incubators, that you can even start small, whatever facilities are available with you at present. You can start with that, and eventually, as you start supporting more and more startups, as you start doing more and more activities, automatically the ecosystem will grow. And that's what we've learned in our journey as well. Now, the most important task of an incubator is to develop the ecosystem in the institute around entrepreneurship. So that's how we generally think about it. So one is obviously awareness. So our scientists, faculty members, students should be aware that, okay, these mechanisms exist. There are certain policies at the institute that exist to help them if they want to take up entrepreneurship. Like students now have deferred placement policies through NIP. Likewise, faculty have options of taking sabbaticals if they want to do. So all these policies have also now come up. So at times people may not be aware, new faculty members may not be aware. So, and students also may not be aware. So we create this awareness. We then organize a lot of hackathons, grant challenges. We provide access to funding opportunities, facilities for product development, mentoring, and environment for networking and peer learning. So networking and peer learning environment is something that I rate very high, and uh, this is a key component of an incubator. So at a point of time when you have multiple startups working together, they learn a lot from each other as well. So this is just a broader overview. And we can also divide it in terms of certain stages, where at each stage, there is something for the incubator to contribute. So for example, if idea stage company comes to us as an incubator, what would be our role to guide them? So if a student just comes with an idea, okay, this is something which I thought of and I want to work around this. So the first thing we need to ask them is how much homework they have done on that. And have they validated their idea anyways? Have they really done a customer discovery or have actually interacted with customers? We can help them with some immersion where we can actually provide them some customer connects to talk to. We can help them in getting a basic business plan initially, not a very deep one, and then guide them what kind of funding opportunities could exist in this sector. So this is at a very early stage, and we keep on getting a lot of queries with from students, from startups coming from outside, that this is what we want to do and we need your support. So Obviously, like we have a very stringent selection criteria, and also at first stage, we just can help them prepare better to be ready to face such committees and prepare themselves and do that homework. And at times, while doing the homework, they might understand that they're doing something wrong, which needs to be corrected, or they are not targeting the right set of customers. There's a different segment of customers they should target. And these things keep on happening. So, I mean, at a very early stage, we need to tell an entrepreneur that, okay, this is the kind of homework, and we can give them worksheets. We can give them some idea how to reach out to customers. At times, just kind of talk about the problem statement, not talk about what they're building, and get a sense of like how people are tackling that problem or the challenge that the startup is trying to solve. Then we move to product development stages where it's more about prototyping facilities, technical mentors. So as faculty members, you can help your students in terms of technology developments, in terms of product development based on existing technologies also. At times, we can help them with linkages to raw material suppliers or manufacturers. Then it's very important once the product development is underway to understand the IPR strategy, what all could be patented, protected, and then guidance on technical and business compliances. Uh, so, especially in life sciences, for example, or even other areas, there might be certain compliances, clinical trials, regulatory aspects that are required by the product to fulfill. So, if we are aware of those things right from the beginning, what kind of compliances will be required for this product, we can actually work in a better way to have that kind of information available with us to receive that certification. So, the data that has to be generated for certification, the way it has to be like kind of collected and all that, that helps a lot. When we reach validation and trial stages, so it's about linkages to third-party agencies like maybe NABL accredited labs required, or maybe for clinical trials, if we can provide a hospital connect to them, or at least we can provide connections to regulatory experts who can at least guide them what kind of regulatory requirements this product will have before launching it to the market. And then some general financial legal guidance in terms of company compliances, in terms of general legal compliances of the startup and all that. So much of this material is also available these days on Startup India website. At least an incubator can guide a startup. This is where you can find the material, and in very specific cases, they can one-on-one discuss also that if there's certain challenge the startup is facing, how to sort it out. And as we go to reach to a go-to-market stage when the product validation compliances are done, then it's more about providing the right kind of networking. So investor connects, pitch days, demo days, etc. are organized. We provide a lot of industry linkages, market linkages, and also PR support. So, for example, we can publish about them in our newsletters or give press releases to launch events for them, and those kind of activities are also. So, this is generally overview, like in different stages, how we can help our startup, and we're kind of catering to all these stages now for startups. And one important thing that I would suggest all the incubators is that be in regular touch with the companies that you support. So whenever you incubate a company or a startup or even a student whom you're helping to kind of create something, be available for them for discussions, interactions, and all that. So that brings in a lot of trust, and uh, they will also be open to discussing things with you. So at times, because of our bandwidth, we are not able to. But I think this is something which I've learned as an incubation manager in the ecosystem for long, that we need to regularly connect with these companies to be there. Any questions till now from anybody? I'll be happy to take on questions in between also.
Yes, please unmute yourself. And if you have any query, you can ask.
All right, so maybe then we can take the questions later, if not immediately. The important aspect that I was discussing about an incubator, and that too, an incubator in an academic institution. It's very important for us to help our researchers and students and faculty members to help with customer discovery or idea validation. So I just give a brief glimpse of like what all activities as an overview, but we can go into a bit of detail in case you have more questions. I think that ways it'll be more explanative, but I think I'll just cover briefly a few things. So for customer discovery or idea validation, there are multiple initiatives that are available. For example, there's a group, Gopal Krishna Deshpande Center for Innovation, and it's a group based out of IIT Madras, but they do these incubate programs across the country, and a lot of them online also. So the way it's done is like that one faculty member and 3 to 4 students of theirs can actually come up with a technology idea and be part of this program. And the cohort size will be like maybe 10 to 15 groups will be there with at least one faculty member in each and 3 to 4 students. There can be 2 faculty members also in the group or 3 faculty members also in the group. So you'll basically put up your idea that this is what we want to do. This is the technology that we have developed. The program, and we have also done with them a couple of cohorts. The way it's done is that we help you reach out to at least 100 customers, and we guide you how to reach out to these customers and what you have to talk to these customers, and then collect feedback from at least 100 of them so that you have a clear sense of who your customer is and then whether the product you're building is really required or not. So these are kind of activities are really helpful from an incubator's perspective, where even at an early stage, you can actually help somebody understand who the real customer is, and also give them a go, no go, whether if you feel that they're not prepared or they're not able to reach out to the right set of customers, probably it's not time to start and not waste your time. Like give it some more time, understand it better, and then start a company. So that is one part. There are also programs like Sparsh and Solve for Tomorrow. These are for early stage. So for example, Solve for Tomorrow is for students that we did with Samsung, and it's open for anybody across the country. Uh, we last In the last call, we got 6,000 applications from uh, India, and more than 60,000 people registered to apply for it. So the whole idea is like to basically get an idea, and if the idea is good, we'll help you go through like a set of master classes and series on design thinking, STEM-based entrepreneurship, and a lot of different things where you can understand a little more in terms of the nuances that are required for being an entrepreneur. So that is one. The second program is called Sparsh, which is again more into life sciences domain, or maybe maternal and child health, waste to value, and all. So this is a program where a student, after completing their master's or a 4-year graduation, can apply, and it's a fellowship for 18 months, 50,000 rupees per month fellowship. And people can actually, for the first 6 months, we just ask them to do an immersion, reach out to, for example, if it's maternal and child health, they'll go to clinics and other places. If it's waste to value, we'll take them to municipal sites and other places. If it's combating environmental pollution, maybe industry affluence and all could be started. So we take them to different areas where we feel they should be able to identify a problem. In the first 6 months, while getting fellowship, they just are able to identify a problem. At the end of 6 months, you have to submit 3 problem statements, and based on that and detailed discussions with a committee and a team of mentors, you will get one problem statement to work on. And the next 1 year, you will get a grant of 5 lakh rupees, and the fellowship will continue 50,000 rupees a month, and you can start building products. So these are the kind of things that we do at a very early stage to at least help people identify whether the path they have taken is right or not. So that's where at an early stage, the incubator can contribute. So methods of customer discovery, maybe direct market immersion, and validating the idea in terms of market need. So that's one part of it. Then as we move, I think one important aspect of an incubator is also in terms of the workshops, training programs, and awareness that we create. So awareness around IPR, business mentoring, regulatory requirements, technical training, funding opportunities, and grant writing. So how exactly should you prepare for a pitch, how exactly should you write a grant proposal, all those things are taught. Now, here also, I mean, there are multiple things that could be done. So at times we also invite accomplished entrepreneurs who have done really well, or even at times unicorn founders who have created reasonably good business and profitable businesses. And they can help, and they can talk to students, share their journeys, help them in terms of motivation. So these events help a lot, and students are actually able to at times identify their role models and understand from their journeys how it what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So all this will be regular part of an an incubator's set of activities. Lab infrastructure is an important part, especially for technical entrepreneurship, in case they're actually building a hardware product or a product in life sciences, for example. We'll need to provide them lab spaces. We'll need to provide them certain areas to kind of sit and discuss. And again, like a complete ecosystem of things. So, for example, in the Bioness that we are building, we have focus area of diagnostics and medical devices. So we'll put all the equipment, at least the basic ones that are required for day-to-day activities to uh, so that the teams can use them and start building products. And at times, if they're not able to get the complete infrastructure requirement or the equipment requirement, and believe me, no incubator can actually provide facilities for every single startup, but you can still support the startup. So in case they require an equipment that is not available with you, you can identify if any institute lab is having, or even other institutes have it. So we try and identify different labs where such things could be provided, and we can also reach out on the startup's behalf that one of our startups is requiring such a facility. Uh, and at times we also need to reach out to different institutions in terms of small scale manufacturing. That's more of like SMEs, so we can reach out to SMEs also. So apart from providing a lab and infra, or maybe working spaces, seating spaces, computers, and all that, that's one part. At times, we can provide certain simulation softwares, a basic set of softwares, and uh, AWS credits, for example. So these are all value-added services that an incubator provides. And for example, we actively do that. But more in terms of, even if we're not able to have it in-house, but can we connect the startup to a relevant organization that can provide that facility? So lab and infrastructure is especially important in terms of hardware companies. Now, I mean, so as we are growing, at least for our part of the journey, we are now moving into research and innovation parks. So these are buildings that house incubators also, and they're having corporates also. So there are some larger companies and some startups, and they learn from each other. And at times, smaller companies can identify customers in larger companies, or larger companies can find strategic investments in smaller companies. So all that connect also helps. So while we do industry connects otherwise also, but as an ecosystem now, as it is growing, so within the same building also you can actually find a lot of them. And when almost 100 startups working together, they kind of try and talk to each other and learn from each other and help each other also. At times, some of them have become vendors and buyers for each other. So all that ecosystem is created at some point of time, but it's always good to start at some point. So as I mentioned, like when we started with just 2 rooms, and now it's like the ecosystem is growing. We also do very dedicated hackathons and buildathons. So, for example, there can be very specific thematic areas or problem statements that we can float out. And even in the hackathons, we do some team building exercises or a small set of games. There's one-on-one mentoring available, and after that, they'll pitch and they'll be able to secure some funding as well. And at times, we also receive interests from certain industries and agencies if they want a solution, so we can conduct a hackathon around that particular problem statement. Investor connects and showcases is an integral part of the whole activity. So once the startup is able to develop the product, they at least have an MVP or a product that can be demonstrated. These activities start at that stage where you can actually provide them a platform to showcase their products, we do demo days and expose. We invite industry, government, and investors. We also like kind of now do major innovation summits. There are more annual events. So, I mean, a lot of colleges do their annual tech fests, and also it can be part of your tech fest, one day dedicated to entrepreneurship, where you do a lot of mentor clinics, investor showcases, one-on-one investor speed dating that we call it. So those things also help startups a lot. And at times, the investments and all don't come in one meeting, and it takes time. So while we see that, okay, while we're doing investor connects and all that, if it's not working out, it actually does take times, and many times multiple meetings with the startup. The investors would also like to gauge whether the startup is actually improving and growing and all that. So these are time taking things, but it's important to connect and keep on doing certain interactions so that investors are aware what kind of startups are present in this incubator and how they are growing. So at times they have an overview like what are the investable companies. And then a lot of larger events. So I was talking about like annual events. So we like started a Daily Innovation Summit as an annual event, and there we have like very eminent experts who are from industry, from academia, uh, or successful entrepreneurs. They come and share their views. We had very specific roundtables on certain discussions, like for example, artificial intelligence. So now IP, intellectual property, is one important aspect. So intellectual property in the I mean, in the era of AI, for example. So we get a lot of things created by AI now, or there are multiple AI solutions also being created. So how to discuss about the intellectual property around these things, what are the norms or what should be the norms? Can we put up a proposal for some policy change and all that? So those things also are discussed. There are showcases, booths and all that we provide, and then investor speed dating and mentor clinic and all those things. And there's also a tech transfer component. So intellectual property and tech transfer is also something that an incubator should definitely look at, because every startup, if they're creating a product, there's a chance of creating a new intellectual property. And as a startup, if they want to go to market, having an intellectual property will actually help them a lot. So in terms of protecting their innovation, in terms of maybe finding multiple partners as uh, licensees and all that. So having clear strategy on tech transfer, a clear strategy on intellectual property protection, and then helping them with intellectual property protection, and then strategizing how to use that intellectual property in the best possible way. These are the things that we try and help with. And then a lot of funding programs. So as incubators, we also have responsibility to help startups with fundraisers. So while we do connect them with various investors and industry, but we also have to guide them to relevant funding opportunities. So there are a lot of funding opportunities available. These are some listed that like our incubator is also directly running, but apart from that, also there are multiple more funding opportunities. So when a startup comes to us, we also need to tell them in terms of what kind of funding opportunities they can leverage. And this will depend on, one is obviously what is the area, the domain they're working in, if it's electronics or healthcare or agriculture, and at what stage it is. So here, for example, we have categorized it in the stages. So while we categorize the offerings that an incubator will have for a startup at different stages, there are different funding programs also that are available for different stages. So at each stage, they can avail some relevant funding opportunity. Many of them are available as grants and funds, grants or debt funds, or even equity funding. So at product development and validation stages and ideation and immersion stages, a lot of grants are available. But as we move to pilot scale and market traction and accelerator, there's more of like debt and equity based funding that is available. And some very interesting programs are there. For example, BioRack BIG is the flagship program for biotechnology companies. It's also open as of now for proposal submission till 16th of August. Uh, IDEX is one program from Defense Innovations Organizations, where Defense actually rolls out Defense India Startup Challenges, where they are kind of looking for technologies or looking for indigenization of technologies, and they roll out certain problem statements that this is what we want startups and MSMEs to develop. And if your solution suits the requirement, then they can Uh, yeah, Dr. Shweta, you have a question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I just wanted to know that can you please share some details about this Pfizer CSR program for innovation and IT? Because I am from the pharmacy. I'm representing Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Pharmacy in Pune. So I just
All
wanted to
right.
know, I'm very keen to know about this Pfizer CSR program for innovation and IT.
Right, right. So I hope you're aware about the corporate social responsibility thing. CSR is basically a contribution by companies that have like a reasonable revenue. So 2% of their profits they have to actually put as social investments. It's not investments, in fact, social causes. They have to run it as corporate social responsibility. So it's also allowed that corporate social responsibility funds can be given to incubators for supporting startups. So under this, we do multiple CSR programs. So for example, we're doing one with Samsung, one we're doing with Sona Comstar, we're also doing with Pfizer. So in the Pfizer program, there are two components. One component is in terms of innovation, where if you're developing a product in healthcare and could be pharma also, you can avail a 60 lakh rupee, 60 to 65 lakh rupee funding. You have to submit a proposal with a clear path to commercialization. The other component in this program is intellectual property protection, so that we're going to launch in the next 10 to 15 days. And in that, we give 10 innovators every year, almost every year, 3 lakh rupee funding for their patent filing expenses. So you can use it for filing Indian patents and PCTs and all that. So this is like you'll have to submit a proposal again that you're working on a novel technology which is going to be patented, and based on the assessment that patentability assessment and based on commercialization assessment, we can help you
Right,
with
I
up to a
understand.
3 lakh rupee funding for filing a patent. Yes.
Sir, so it includes the medical devices as well?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Sir, it includes the medical devices as well. Any innovation in the medical
Yes,
device?
anything related to healthcare and health tech. Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Right. And yeah, so these are about some CSR programs. Then with Engineers India Limited, there's also program ENGSWI. These days we have Startup India Seed Fund scheme also. So there are two components in the scheme. One is a grant component of up to 20 lakh rupees, and then there's a investment component of up to 50 lakh rupees. So any startup that is DPIIT recognized and registered within the past 2 years can apply for it. And it's largely sector agnostic. The startup could be working in any sector. Only criteria that we kind of put is that it should be developing some innovative technology. Uh, and then there are certain investment programs like BIRAC Seed Fund, Leap Fund, DST, Nidhi Seed Support Program. And we do a lot of accelerator programs also we did with DST. In fact, for augmented reality, virtual reality, or maybe you can call it extended reality, we are doing a program with Meta, which was Facebook now, the parent company is called Meta. So any technology related to augmented reality, virtual reality, you can apply for the Meta program. There's also a 20 lakh rupee funding that is involved in that. So a lot of such programs are being done by the incubator. And at least if even if the incubator is not directly implementing these programs, well, like because we have been like now in the ecosystem for some time, so we are managing a lot of different funding programs. But an early stage incubator may or may not be doing such a program. But most of these programs are available for startups across the country. So for any of these programs, if you want to apply, even wherever you are in the country, we can still provide you the funding as long as it is able to go through the competition. So the incubators can at least guide the startups or individuals in the right direction that these are the kind of funding opportunities you should look at. And after a stage, we can actually guide them to larger VCs and banks and all that for raising further funds. So that's pretty much it. Uh, these are some of the companies that we supported. Just two, three examples I'll give and then I'll close and we can discuss for the next 15, 20 minutes. So BotLab Dynamics, for example, it's a startup doing drone shows. Many of you might have seen that in the meeting retreat on Republic Day. So this startup started in 2017, and now they are able to like kind of do very complex drone formations. So the whole concept was to work on drones from technologies. It started more as a defense company, but defense is a difficult business to crack. So eventually, they started with entertainment sector, but the company is still working on multiple different applications also. And it has been like a really good journey. Uh, the the team of two boys from IIT Delhi, they started building a team and all. Then there was another startup. She later on joined the company and in fact is now the managing director of the company. Uh, they were able to help each other in certain aspects, build a good team, and were able to deliver. So that's also something an incubator can actually provide. That's what I mentioned, like a lot of crosstalks between startups. They learn from each other at time, they help each other and contribute to each other also. Sanfe has become like a good brand in feminine hygiene now. There's one more company, Siren AI Solutions. So again, this is a faculty company from IIT Delhi. You can see in the middle, Dr. Manan Suri. So they got a Defense India Startup Challenge and they have built the develop. They've also got a contract from Defense to deploy it now and also received the Raksha Mantri Award for Excellence. Uh, Clensta is one of the companies that we incubated. So this was more of life science company. They started with making waterless body bath and waterless shampoo, and now working in a lot of home care products. Uh, there are also certain startups in social sectors. For example, Flex Motive, they designed this crutch which is having base like that mimics our foot. So instead of round tip crutches, this crutch actually helps. It takes less energy while walking. So it gives you some cushion while you put it down and some thrust while you like kind of move forward. And it received the India Design Mark Award as well. And with that, I think I'll stop here. There are multiple, many more good companies that we have supported and were able to contribute to the journeys. But I'll be happy to take more questions now.
Okay. So, thank you so much, sir, for uh, this informative session. So there are various funding opportunity you have listed here, and most of us is not aware of these all. So I think the FITT, IIT Delhi Incubation Center, I also have several type of schemes. So uh, like sir,
Yes.
sir, FITT seed fund, um, who are the eligible for this seed fund, sir? Can we apply the private institute or
Right.
only
So
for the incubator?
as
Yes.
in yeah, so in the startups can apply for it as so I mentioned a few things. So there's Bayrak Seed Fund, and there's Leaf Fund, and there's Startup India Seed Fund. For these things, anybody in India having a registered startup can apply for it. And we can get, so even if you have a company in your incubator or company by students in your incubator, you can suggest them to get in touch. We can help them uh, to identify the right program to apply for. For example, Startup India Seed Fund is open. So FITT is also one of the implementing incubators in that. So it's an online application that has to be made on the Startup India Seed Fund's website, and they can select FITT as the incubator, and we can provide them funding. While they can be incubated anywhere, they can be incubated in your institution. Likewise for Bayrak Seed Fund also, if it's a life science startup, they can be incubated anywhere, but we can help them with the funding part of it.
Uh, I have a question, sir. Can I ask?
Yes,
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 sure.
please.
It's a general question, actually. As you can see, if the patent filing from the China, it's a leading country as compared to other countries. Half of the patents are filed by the China, है ना? But we are very far behind the China. Why, what is the reason behind it? What is your opinion about this? We have resources, we have brains. Why we are very far behind China? We are at sixth position, actually.
Right, right. So there are multiple things as reasons to it. One is obviously in terms of applied research. See, China has a lot of industrialization already. And the more the industrialization happens, the more people are aware about protecting intellectual property and all. We were not really having that kind of awareness earlier. Most of our academicians were busy publishing and all that. They were not really looking at patents as
But if it
part of
is
and even
industrialization, then what about USA? It's on second position,
yeah, US also was industrialized. I mean,
but
we
it's
we
on
won't
second
say
position. They had half of the like patents. What is the reason behind that? That China is the leading one.
so there are two things behind it. Also, at times it's just about numbers. At times it's more about how aggressively you're pushing IPR and all that. Now, traditionally, even China was like copying a lot of products also, and at times they were not honoring patents for the countries, but they realized that they need their own intellectual property also. That's a different thing. But from an institute's perspective, I can tell definitely. So, for example, at IIT Delhi earlier, we used to file very less number of patents. The way because institute incurs a cost. If we file say 150 patents in a year, the cost is in almost like multiple lakhs and even can reach crores, right? So institutes were not really willing to bear this costs for patent filing. So earlier, what we used to do is we used to like kind of have a committee which was deciding whether this patent is really useful or not, whether it makes a real commercial sense or not, and then only used to file it because it incurs a cost. Now, because it's part of rankings and all institutes are willing to put more cost to it. So they're filing. So now we are filing more than 150 patents every year from IIT Delhi. Uh, and in the last 30 years of journey of FITT, we've filed close to 1,500 patents, but almost half of them have come in the last 5 years or so. Because again, the awareness and then also in terms of motive. So now the motive is to protect whatever we can protect. And at times we might see that, okay, right now the patent doesn't feel like a very interesting one, or maybe, but in a futuristic use case, it might be relevant. So it's good to protect. So at times it's just about numbers also. We were doing certain things, but we were more conservative in terms of filing now because we are trying to file everything. But obviously it incurs a lot of cost. And we should be able to recover that cost through technology transfers. But if we file everything, that doesn't happen. If we file very, very selective patents, then you'll have more cost recovery than the cost you incur.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, I have a question. Sir,
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that many a times that being an institution, having an IIC and incubation center, that many a times we are just having an idea. We are not having a prototype because prototype comes after that, and even for the prototype, many a times we need funding because neither of the institute is self-sufficient to fund a specific idea, which is, say for example, it is not that cost effective or cheap. So in that way, which particular scheme we need to apply for, whether where we can work on our idea and get it done as a startup, or get it done for the future in the market, or put it into the market, or someone like that.
Right. So that's what I mentioned in one of the first slides, that when somebody comes to us with an idea, what kind of support we need to provide them. Now, if somebody comes to me with an idea, the first thing I'll try to ascertain is that whether the idea is really good or not, whether the team has actually identified the customers rightly or not. So we give them a set of tasks to complete that does not really require funding. It just requires them to go out and talk to customers. Once they are done through that exercise and then it feels that, okay, this is something which is worth supporting, then there are some funding opportunities that are available. So for example, there's Nidhi Prayas, Nidhi EIR by DST, which gives funding of up to 10 lakh rupees to build prototypes. Likewise, from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, there's a funding program available, which is called TIDE 2.0, which is having a EIR of 4 lakh rupees and a grant of 7 lakh rupees that early stage companies can avail that are at an idea stage, but have clarity in terms of market. Then there are certain programs like EUVA from BIRAC. So universities can apply for EUVA centers and they can support up to 10 students for innovative projects where they have the idea and want to develop the initial stage, right? Likewise, I mentioned about BIRAC Spursh. And at times there are institutes also who are putting in some, for example, at IIT Delhi, we have a endowment nurture fund. So to 4 startups coming out of students every year, we're able to fund them with some initial seed grant. So there are certain opportunities available, but before that, as incubators, the first thing that we need to do is to help them do the homework so that they are better prepared for these funding opportunities. And that's where you can contribute right from the beginning. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Quite helpful.
Yes. Meena,
Hello, sir.
say
I am
through.
Shruti
Yes.
Meenakshi. Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
Mona.
so I'm an optometrist, and I want you said about that virtual reality support. So, can you just brief me on what kind of support you provide for this virtual reality? Because I work with extensively with patients with some eye problem called lazy eyes. So, for them in abroad, they have proved that virtual reality can help improve their visions. So, with therapies from virtual reality. So, can you just brief me about the funding so that I can also share it with my peers who work on that. There are a few of my colleagues who work on that to help the patients. So can you just brief on that, sir?
Right. So this year with Meta, we started a program which is called Meta XR Accelerator Program. And Meta, you all might be knowing as Facebook, and they're now building Metaverse, which is more of like a virtual reality world. So as part of that, there are a lot of developers and all that are available to mentor such companies. Now, this program we started with a mandate that we'll support some companies. So for example, we supported 4 companies specifically in healthcare and then some companies that are working in different other areas like automotive and all. So if you're building a solution or it is an extended reality or a virtual reality solution uh, for any healthcare issue, you can apply for this program. So this year we've already closed it. The final the final presentation and all is completed. The national event is done. We'll probably roll it out next year as and when Meta gets with the budget. So the whole program was around creating it. So for example, for patients who are not feeling well in terms of mental health and all, they can devise solutions. You mentioned about eyes, so there can be a virtual reality exercise that can be available with VR glass that could be done, or some games that could be created that can help with exercising and all that that can be created. There were also certain um startups that were creating haptic feedback along with a VR. Uh, Somebody who's more into like wellness and also you can have a wellness, multiple wellness related solutions, in fact, in VR. So VR is having a lot of applications. One is in the content side of it. So you can create content based on a lot of applications. So it could be like a game or an exercise or something that can actually help a person to overcome that situation. So for those kind of things, you can apply for some support in the XR program.
Sir, is there any deadline for application, any particular time period which this is open so that we can apply
So it is closed for this year as of now. It might be open maybe around December or January next year.
next? Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Anybody having question can
Yes.
just speak up. I see much few hands also. Maybe.
Yes. Stuti Saxena.
Yes, good morning. And it was a very, very enriching experience. Your talk has actually been very thought-provoking. I was not aware of the opportunities which were available so far. Now, coming to my question. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for such a deep, very, very deep thought on a deep presentation. So my question is, I work for an MSME. And we are in the medical devices sector. So when you mentioned medical devices at IIT, so my question is that what all facilities are available? That is the first question. The second question is are those facilities available to MSMEs through some programs? Like, you know, startup, everybody is focusing on startups, but not much focus is there on MSMEs so far. So that is my second question, sir.
Right. So we have created a few facilities. One is obviously like a wet lab space that people can use There are certain equipment and all available for downstream, upstream things. But specifically talking about medical devices, so we have created an electronics and a mechanical lab, which is also having SMT line and fab. If you want to create chips, if you want to fabricate your board and all that, so that could be done. Also, apart from that, we are going to take in a SOC tester for semiconductors. So there are both things are available. So one is in terms of fabricating a medical device. So multiple 3D printers of different kinds, biocompatible 3D printers, those are available. Then an electronics lab is available for the electronic part of it. There's a mechanical lab available for making, if there's a mechanical side of it, or maybe the casing and enclosure is to be made. And then the second thing comes is in terms of testing and validation. So there's also a wet lab available. In wet lab, you can maybe use samples and test and validate the device. When it requires preclinical and clinical stage trials, at that stage, we can connect you with hospitals like AIMS and others to take it forward in terms of validation. So there's almost a complete fab lab that is available along with the life science part of it. So maybe if you want, you can visit us sometime to understand more about
Sure,
the
sir.
specific
No,
requirements for your
exactly the things which we want you have. We are looking for an electronics lab
and
and
it's available for
SMT. Yeah.
SMEs also. So while we don't provide incubation space for SMEs in terms of office and all, but
Right,
they
right.
can come and use on a pay-per-use basis.
Of course, right. And so we can approach you any time of the year. It is not any specific program or something, and we can just
Yeah.
reach out to you and we can come down. That's
Yes,
so. I'm
it's a
really
facility
thankful to
which
you.
is it's a facility which is also available on a pay-per-use basis. For
Yes.
in-house startups, we provide who are incubated here, we provide some free time and on each equipment, and then if their usage is much larger, then they have some subsidized charges for it.
Sure. Thanks so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes. So Anuj, do you want to ask anything?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that informative session. Actually, I just want to know that as you are just telling in your slides that if somebody come with an idea to your incubator and you are just enriching that idea with the inputs and all that. So the question is that because yesterday's session, it's also a concern that how to be sure that that idea will not be breached or ethics, something like that, or not stolen. So how to be assured that is it any type of agreement that we can go for?
Right. So see, as incubators, we and as also as an organization that manages intellectual property, we generally are aware of such things. So within our team, I mean, there's an inherent policy built that, I mean, we keep things confidential that we sign with our employees per se within the incubator. So any startup approaching us could be assured on that side. The other way is when they talk to customers. So at times, if it's like a very innovative idea, but can be easily done by anybody, in that case, we ask them just to discuss more on the problem side of it and not completely about the idea and understand more in terms of the problem, who's having the problem and all that. So every time you don't need to discuss your idea with everybody. You can just discuss the problem with potential customers in a way that you can identify whether this really exists or not. So those things are like also there. If it's a deep tech product, then it's fine. I mean, people can discuss because then you need a definite technical skill set to build it. So there you can even talk about the product a bit. So I mean, all those things are very specific when somebody comes to us, so we assess those things and accordingly we guide them.
Yeah, because in the last session there is a one concept of that non-disclosure agreement. So is it
Yeah,
also
that could be done. I mean, we don't need to do too many non-disclosure agreements with every startup, but within our team, with our employees, we have such a thing that whatever they receive as part of their job, they don't disclose. And if such an instance is reported at times, then serious actions could be taken on that. So, but otherwise, for companies, as I mentioned, like for deep tech ideas, IPR is only
yeah,
created when the product is actually made. So before having the product, there's just a provisional thing that you can do maximum. But for ideas that can be easily done by anybody, there we kind of tell them how to approach the customers without actually completely disclosing the idea.
yeah, because most of the things, if we are going with the idea of that aggregating some existing resources to, then there is always a conflict that there might be a chance that anybody can do. Yeah, but I have got my answer. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Okay, Miss Indu Singh want to ask. Indu ma'am, are you here? Okay, anyone other?
All right. So if there are no more questions, I think we can conclude it. I mean, also there are certain
Yes, sir.
funding opportunities that are open all the time. So anybody doing anything in healthcare, agri, industrial biotechnology, the BIG program is currently open, and faculty members are also eligible to apply for it. So as an individual, you can apply being a faculty at any institution, and that's open till 16. So in case you need some guidance around that, anybody planning to apply for it, we'll be happy to help on that part as well. Our TIDE program is open as of now till 12th August. So if any student team wants, so as I mentioned, there's a 4 lakh rupee grant and a 4 lakh rupee EIR and a 7 lakh rupee grant that is available. So many of these are open. I mean, as and when you have certain things, you can write us an email and we'll be happy to help you with that. Thank you, everyone. If there's any follow-up question, I'll
Yes,
be
ma'am.
happy to take it.
One question is from the Ajmat Fatima, who has written in the chat box. Please let us know in India, where are the institutes that provide this course of entrepreneur fellowship program? The
So in
course
terms
for
of
entrepreneurship fellowship program.
if you talk about the Spursh, which is more of a fellowship program, there are about 14, 15 centers in India that are doing it. We can share you can just search BIRAC Spursh or SIIP on the internet. You'll be able to find these 14 centers, FITT being one of them. But apart from that, in terms of courses on entrepreneurship, I think most of the management departments are doing these days, and even technical institutions with NISP, I think Ministry of Education has directed institutions to at least run some courses on entrepreneurship and all as well. So we regularly do courses on design thinking and entrepreneurship and all that. It's part as could be taken like as a optional or in some cases as a mandatory course. And there are certain short-term things also. Like for example, we are doing one program called Spark now, and the way we have designed is like for anybody who wants to do a startup and has some technology developed but still not sure how to do a startup and all. So in Spark, we'll try and help them with the customer discovery. We'll try and help them understanding all kind of compliances for companies, understanding the legal aspects, financial aspects, and later on what kind of regulatory things you might need. So it's like a 2 to 3 month program with a nutshell, and can with some one-on-one mentoring also available. So these kind of things are also done. And while we closed applications for Spark on 31st of July, in case somebody is interested, they can still write to us. I mean, we have not finally done the shortlisting yet, so we can still consider applications.
And sir, kindly elaborate on TIDE 2.0.
Right. So TIDE 2.0 is programmed by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It's again for early stage companies that are, and EIR is actually, EIR can be applied by individuals also. So there's a 4 lakh rupee grant that is available to EIRs, and then there's a 7 lakh rupee grant available for startups. So this is in any domain. The technology should be like using electronics or information technology, or even AI, machine learning. So anything related to electronics, information technology, AI, ML, those kind of things. And the application can be in any area. The application could be in healthcare, defense, railways, fintech. We cover almost all sorts of areas. As long as the solution is utilizing these technologies, you can apply for TIDE. And that also is open till 12th of it. If you visit FITT's website, you'll be able to get the link for applying. And that too is done by multiple organizations. So there are 5 Group 1 centers in the country. So regionally, they have kind of designated some Group 1 centers. So FITT is one of the Group 1 centers, and then there are Group 2 and Group 3 centers also that we are mentoring. And overall, I think it's being implemented by like more than 30 institutions.
Okay, so and now I think there is no query. Thank you so much, sir. So, dear participant, if you want to ask anything, you can unmute yourself or ask. So, sir, we are very grateful and fortunate and
Yeah,
honored.
there's one
feeling
question
honored.
like, yeah, there's one question
Okay,
like,
sir.
please share the link through which we can stay aware of the scheme. So you can follow us on LinkedIn. You'll be able to get details on every thing that is launched. So some programs that we do, and even the programs that we don't do, we generally post on LinkedIn if an opportunity is available for startups. You can follow us on LinkedIn, FITT or me, you can follow. Yeah.
So, sir, we are very humble, fortunate and grateful that you have accepted our invitation and delivering such a wonderful, informative and interactive session. So kindly accept the e-memento as a gratitude of honor on behalf of organizing committee of this 2 weeks faculty development program.
Thank you,
So,
Dr. Gaurav.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Best wishes to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Now, dear participant, there is a surprise examination or interactive session will be conducted for 10 minutes for the evaluation of interaction. So kindly, the first question is what is the difference between critical thinking and creative thinking? What is the difference between the critical thinking and creative thinking? Anyone who want to answer? Who want to elaborate? Anyone?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So the critical
Yes.
thinking is like we evaluate any issue, like we evaluate in terms of judgment.
Okay. Continue.
Creative
Continue.
thinking. Hello.
Yes. 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 You
Yes.
are audible.
Yeah. So when we talk about creative thinking, it is which is something new and valuable, where we don't see it in terms of judgment.
Okay. Any other?
Hello.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
The
you, sir.
creative thinking, maybe we can say that if you are trying to create something new, and for critical thinking, if you are assessing some or validating or something which is already existing.
Hello.
Yes. Good, sir. And yes.
Can I please speak?
Yes. Yes. Please.
Okay. Sir, creative thinking means actually it is very much new, but it is not dealing with we don't go ahead with the practical part of it. When we go for the critical, that is a creative one, and critical means we take into account like whether it will be what the idea is there, whether it can be commercially, it will be what are the pros and cons if we go ahead with the commercial part of it. So that is portion is included in critical thinking.
Okay.
reAI.
Yes. Yes. Please.
Sir, creative thinking could be one where we have already analyzed the problem and we have come to some solution regarding that. Or next one is the critical thinking when we are still in the condition to analyze something. We have not developed any idea regarding that. We are analyzing the problem.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I have learned several things from you all. So Actually, this is the one activity by which we can judge our some expert is also in this meeting. I have not flagged them, so they will evaluate. And the second question is the difference between invention and innovation. Invention and innovation.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
I would like to answer this. Invention is somewhere related to your innovation, what we have new ideas, carrying in terms of your creative ideas, what we give them in the form of innovation, the new ideas. And invention is somewhere like we follow the people who gave their history, following those contributions we can give them in the form of inventions, what I feel.
Yes. Any other?
We can say that the invention is
Sir,
if there is any creation of new product or something new. And innovation, we can say that if you are changing in some existing product or in new way, if you are introducing some new ways or some new idea.
Okay. Thank
sir,
you.
can
Thank
I
you, sir.
speak?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Sir, can I speak?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Invention means finding out something new, and innovation means putting it into some like use for the masses, like it will be applicable and greatly useful for the masses.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So can anyone speak about the frugal innovation? Frugal innovation.
So the use of the internet, probably the use of the internet from the smartphones and the mobile phones. If we see 10 years back, it was not that much. Now the rural people are more aware of the technology as well as the telecommunications through the smart gadgets. So that is again a part of the invention. And innovation is something which has never been existed and it is useful for the people. So
Okay, ma'am.
the product of imaginary things
Sir,
and
can I?
innovation is
Yes,
related to.
yes. Sir, actually, ma'am, you are. I have asked another question, so you are replying for answering for the previous question. Okay. Yes, Kiran sir, please.
So am I audible?
Yes.
So any sort of invention or any sort of new idea implementation, which is at a very low cost, and it can be implemented by anybody. So that would be a frugal thing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
Gaurav sir.
any others?
Gaurav
Yes,
sir, can I
yes,
speak?
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
frugal innovation means low cost product that can be developed and which can be used by the lower end. That means the bottom of the pyramid. That means at the base by the very common people.
Okay.
It is not for the niche market. It is for everybody, like at the very base.
It can say that the doing something more with we can say that less or less for more, that we can.
I can say
Any
low
example?
cost.
Any example?
Low cost mobiles.
Okay. Yes.
Just for masses.
Yes.
On Incarus, I would like to add one low cost,
Yes.
but with high quality.
With
So it
high
is like
quality.
raising the standards of innovative activities or devices.
Like LED lights.
So innovation in agriculture.
No. All innovation in agriculture is not a frugal innovation.
You
Any
increase
other?
the standard of innovation ideas, or that is about frugal.
I
Shifting
think it.
from the
Innovation
normal
means
farming to an organic farming.
complexity and also cost of the goods and its production, sir. Removing
Nano car is a frugal innovation.
Yes,
Yes,
nano
sir.
car. It's the
Yes.
first example.
All shampoo sachet of 1 rupees is a frugal
Yeah,
innovation.
1 and 2 rupees, right.
Yes. Mitti cool refrigerator is a frugal
Industrial
innovation. Yes. So yes. So okay. The last question. Sorry. The second last question. How many stages in the technology readiness level?
Level, sir.
So we can't hear your question, sir.
So question is not clear due to some.
Can you please repeat again?
Yes. How many levels are there in technology readiness level, TRL? Because Partha Sen sir has delivered the talk on TRL.
Sir, there are 9 levels, sir.
Yes. Okay. So what is the difference between TRL, MRL, and IRL? Anyone? Okay, I am not bothering you all. So okay. So let's finish it. We have certain marks criteria on this interaction. This was the very surprised type of test, just for the fun also. So
It
okay.
was good session, sir. By you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so now our speaker, we are welcome our speaker, Partha Sen sir. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
How are
Hello.
you?
Yes, sir. Yes. Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
So how was the day? How was the discussion so far?
Yes, sir. Very good, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So we are very grateful that Partha Sen has joined us and he has time for us to learn us something new. So Partha Sen sir is an evangelist of responsible AI, applying cloud AI, blockchain, and privacy by the design. He is a recipient of CIPM. He is selected top 50 for Dialogflow CX component designer by Google in 2021 summer competition. He is ex-HSBC, now core ML and AI engineer, lead at Bay Area startup Aware Solution for product development of KAI. KAI has received Best Innovation Award in 2022 from 3M. He has published patent in FinTech. He has received Bachelor of Engineering from NIT Surat and Master of Science in Data Science from Northwestern University, USA. So we are very grateful to sir to have you as a keynote speaker, and we are inviting you to deliver your session. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you.
It's my pleasure again. So it's not first time I'm coming back here. So again, it was the last session was awesome, and I'm expecting that the huge crowd would be enjoying our next 1 hour of discussion about that technology readiness. Just to check, am I audible to
yes,
you
sir,
all?
you are audible. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this starts with our discussion here. We know, or maybe we have that idea of lean canvas, so the business canvas. So I usually start from there. I am little bit not aware of that exactly it has been covered, or you have the idea of not. But business canvas is very important, where that the need of innovation comes here. And I will be going to that technology readiness, going a little bit going to the different steps or different angle, why this technology readiness coming into our development picture or our service picture, why it is important. Probably those steps we will be looking into here. Now, in this canvas, the middle of the canvas, we have the problem statement. We write down or we know what exactly we are solving. Now, if we recall that particular our case about that how it was been discussed last time also, it is a little bit of bioinformatics or biotechnology kind of case study we have at this moment to discuss. Now, it's a very interesting case.
Sorry for the interruption, sir. Sir, actually, I am not able to see the PPT. Any participant? Okay, now it is visible.
Okay, it's not.
Yes, okay. Thank you, sir. You can carry on. Please proceed, sir.
Okay,
yes, it is
now,
changing also. Yes.
Yeah. So now I was talking about this canvas. This canvas, the middle of this canvas is, we can say it, the problem statement. Now we discussed, just like I was telling about an interesting case about glaucomia, technology related to glaucomia. So glaucoma is a leading cause of blindness worldwide. So this is the problem statement, and early detection is critical for preventing vision loss. However, traditional glaucoma screening methods can be expensive and time consuming, and they are often not available in rural and underserved areas. Now, in this problem statement, it is a statement that probably we write or look into before making any product or before going for any service development. Here, that problem statement has two different pain points they are looking into. The first pain point is the traditional traditional glaucoma screening methods can be expensive. The expensive is one point, and the second one, that remote factor, the distance factor. Now, what we can recall that in this biotechnology field, if we bring into new kind of product, then that product will be somehow differentiated from the already existing products in the market. Now here, that is innovation. Now we have pain points like expense, the cost, and that remote, how we can reach to the last mile. Probably these two important factors we can solve through innovation. Now the innovation comes into this picture. When the innovation is coming, we also can think of the design thinking and critical thinking. At this moment, when we are discussing this, probably we are all doing our own critical, we are using our own critical thinking at this moment, how to solve this problem, or what exactly the problem is, or is it really worthy to solve this problem? Probably this all come into the critical thinking area. And design thinking, just this slide, at the bottom of that, we have 5 stages of design thinking. We will go stepwise, and we'll find out that from the starting point to end, we would be using our design thinking to design our product. But all in all, the thinking starts with what exactly we are solving. So that is the important part of this slide, and we will discuss more about this into the different slides. Next slides. Now we have the problem statement. We know what is the pain point of the user, and we know what are the highlighted things through our innovation we can bring. Now here, the innovation is like AI-based glaucoma screening. This is already, some of you probably know that this was discussed. I'm just revisiting that point, that how the innovation is coming into this picture, or what exact our innovation here. Now we are using the AI-based glaucoma screening tools, and that should be smartphone-based. The smartphone-based cameras offer a promising alternative to traditional method. Now there's two things. One, the smartphone-based camera, and one app would be there. That smartphone, why it is being taken here into this innovation? because our pain point was to reach to the last mile, underserved areas. Nowadays, smartphone is almost most penetrated tool into our Indian population. So we can consider the smartphone is very much accepted by remote people, by those people those are not served well. So they have the smartphone. Now again, if we have the smartphone and if we have the camera, why don't we use that camera for detection of the glaucoma? And when we are using this camera, it is not enough. So we need to bring the technology of AI here. So that is our innovation here. So that is now I am talking about. Here the AI based that particular the model, and that would be using the camera and that camera of the smartphone. So the simple technology innovation is there to solve our problem. It's just a case. It's not that real life any kind of problem solving at this moment, but it's a very good case we are discussing at this moment, that how the innovation is related to the problem statement, and problem statement again coming from that canvas, business canvas or business model. So the business model and innovation should be aligned. Here, this is very important point. Why I am emphasizing on the innovation with our problem statement or with our problem statement or that canvas. The reason is that if we are not aligned well, if it is not aligned well, then we cannot bring this innovation into the system. So now that business plan, business problem, we know the problem statement, we know where is the pain point that we know. We have the innovation at this moment. So what is the technology here? Now, this technology would be the starting point of our today's discussion, technology readiness. Now, the technology is here, the AI based. We would be using the camera. We would be using the AI model. What kind of model we are using here? One deep learning algorithm we would be using. So that deep learning model would be used here to analyze the images of the optic nerve taken with a smartphone camera. So the pictures of the optic nerve. Now, first thing that the model, the technology that we are using, the deep learning model, just think of, no need to know about these technologies. But the important part is that one technology is used into our innovation. Now, I'm just covering another important part, that three cycles are there. Three circles are there. One circle, all the three circles are intersecting, and in the middle, innovation is there. So when it is innovation, we have the three circles. One circle is that feasibility. The feasibility comes with the technology. Another part of the innovation is that desirability. How much the people are desiring it, that is the pain point. Probably design thinking is the most important part that we usually discuss with that what the desire of the or pain point of the customers or the users, and probably that is the starting point. Through design thinking we are bringing the innovation. So the desire, that particular circle is mostly related to the design thinking, and the viability. When it's the time to discuss about the viability, it's obviously the business and investment comes into the picture. Now here, in our today's discussion, we are not thinking about the yellow and orange circles. We'll be discussing more about the feasibility, the technology part, the innovation and the relation with the technology. Next, we'll be taking about the three metrics, the TRL, MRL, and IRL. Now here, TRL is the technology readiness. We have 9 levels. Probably I was listening that some of you already know that one, and you are right that 9 levels are there to measure it. We would be discussing more about that, how the 9 levels are differentiated and how it is more applicable. Next, we'll be going to MRL, that is, am I audible? Something I can see that network is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, perfect. Now that MRL is that manufacturing readiness. It has 10 levels again. So that how TRL, MRL, and IRL, the 3 things are interrelated. That is probably we'll be again understanding through this discussion. But first thing is that what we have covered so far, we are understanding the readiness of technology. What is the readiness of technology? Probably will be coming after a few minutes. But before that, why technology is coming into our picture in our development. Now that is, I'm just summing up. So far we have discussed that business model is important. From there, the innovation objective would be getting, problem statement would be understood, and technical teams. When the technical teams coming into the picture, that alignment of technology with innovation and with that business problem. If the 3 things are aligned, then we are good to go. And that is the time to find our readiness. Our readiness starts with the basic level of design thinking, that how we are understanding the users. So far, any question raised so far? Any hand raised, or you want to ask me any question from there? Yeah, one question. I can see one person. One hand is raised. Yeah. Any hand is raised, or it's just a old one? Should I wait to listen to your question?
You can unmute yourself also to address the query.
Okay. Let me go to that next step. That what is TRL actually? Now we are understanding that readiness, that score, or the importance, the need. And here, TRL, MRL, and IRL, 3 things are very much integrated. Now, this we understand here that particularly the axis of maturity of manufacturing process, it comes with the MRL, and how the technologies are integrated. Let us think of our own case, the glaucoma detection. What we are developing now, we are developing at this moment that one app, mobile app, that mobile app would be using that mobile camera, and that mobile app would be taking the photos of your nerves, your retinas, and that will give you the result. Now here how the manufacturing is coming into this picture. That is something we will be discussing, that in this production or in this product development, how manufacturing of these things would be into our scenario. In fact, that the app, when it will be in your system, maybe your mobile is something of different version. Maybe that is of different operating system there, like iOS, or maybe Android. Maybe that compatibility factor comes into this. So this is integration. So Formally, we would be reaching to the MRL and IRL. We would be discussing about the 9 steps or 9 factors, how those factors are relevant to us. Here, just think of the right side, one image is there, and left side that one scale is there. Now, when the basic technology research, it's coming to step 1 and 2. So that is something we can see here, the allocations of resource. Now, when it is the basic step, when you are at the very starting of the development, that time you have to think of that what kind of resource you are using at this moment. And this resource allocation is very much related to your cost and investment. When you are doing your basic research, that basic research is very much dependent to the development and particular of what the technology that you will be handling. And here, the resource allocation, it comes to that 3 layers are there. One, that is the actors who are at this moment of the first 2 stages, and we can see that funding status, and also at the very ground level, it is very base. It was written about the basic research, and it is written that that particular basic research started from 0 to middle of 2 and 3. So now I'm coming to that from the startup concept, or probably from our own use case concept. Now, when we are using that particular AI into that bioinformatics or biotechnology, we have our model selected, but that selection is based on our desk work, strategic work. But do we have anything to show? Do we have anything to prove that DL is right, deep learning is right for us, or will it really work? Now, that basic research you have to think of. Now, when it is all about that basic research, then you have to find out that exact technology application that is really giving you the good accuracy or not. Now, here the actors are very important for basic research. For startup, usually we call it bootstrapping. That means we are contributing our money from our own pocket or internal investment. Now, same way we can think of in academic universities, institutes, there they get help of, or the actors are mostly academicians and government people. Those are involved into this development. So the resource is not about hiring here. So you at this moment think of that whether you should hire any employee or you should not. Now the question could be answered in 2 ways. If you are good into your technology, then probably you can start with your own experiment, keep your hands dirty. But if you are not from the technology background, probably if you are from that the different background of management or leadership, then probably you need to hire a person, or you need to think the resource that way. And that is probably the important part of here, important part of this, that how you will allocate your resource. I can see that when the external fund will be thinking of, probably that private sector fund is not very much attractive or attracted to this stage. Usually, the basic research is mostly attractive to the government body, government grant. Now, when you'd be crossing the level, technology level, more than 2.5 or 3, that is the proof the feasibility. So now 2.5, you have that enough scope. You can use your own burning, and you can use your own laptop or maybe own lab to prove that how your understanding is good here. Let's say for the deep learning model that you are thinking to use it, which kind of deep learning model is useful here? So if you get this answer, and if you can show that, okay, this deep learning model is good for my use case, and then you are going to the point 2.5 or above, that you have the proof that, okay, this is giving me good result. And that time you need probably the data, and data that you are experimenting with. So the data for this use case I'm talking about, that even the data that you need, at the same time you need to use your technology to prove that my model is absolutely selected and working well. Probably that is the proof, and that time you are reaching to the level 3. And when you are level 3, you are good to go to market, and you can attract, you can ask for funding, maybe angel funding or VC funding, but that depends on that what exactly your mindset or how you are using the resource. Now, when you be thinking of the resource from 3 to 5, that we can see the allocation of resource is something will change. That time the resource, because after the level 2.5 or level 3 to 5, that time you would be going for applied research, and that time probably your resource allocation would be different. I'm not going more than this TRL 5 or TRL 6, because the TRL 5 or TRL 6 is absolutely good for us who are at the early stage of development or startup, or who are working with that. But the big companies who are mostly from the TRL 8 or 9, that time probably you make one system development, or absolute the maturity of the development would be to attract that series A, series B kind of funding, and you can prove, or already you have the customers in your pocket. So that I'm not going beyond 6. So that technology demonstration is absolutely the good point here for the discussion. And if we think of the technology design thinking point of view, if you think that from the design point of view, design thinking point of view, then this previous one, that particular technology demonstration is absolutely important here, because you have to go to market, you have to demo that particular product, and you have to get that feedback from the customer. So that is also very much related to the design thinking, how you are making the prototype. Now I'm coming to that, that what is exactly that study research here. So we already discussed that into the TRF 1 to 6, or up to the level 6, we have to cover these steps from fundamental research to deployment. Now in our case, think of that we have started with that which deep learning model would be useful for us. We are sure what is the problem statement, and we are sure that we would be using that mobile camera and deep learning model, but which model that we have already tested within the TRL2, TRL 2.5, that what exactly model we are going to use. And we already set our accuracy, whether it is 97% plus or it is 99% plus. That is absolutely you are set. Now here, this is important that this in the laboratory setting, we are making that note demonstration demo. We are documenting what exactly we are doing. So that documentation will help you to find out the TRL readiness. So the question may be asked here, how we could measure the TRL? Then the answer would be that documentation will help you that exactly how you are approaching. Now, when you'll be going to prototype, probably you are good to experiment it beyond the lab setup, something to the market setup or to the users. You can apply that. You can make the demo. Probably that those steps are written here. And when you are good with the demo, then you can, or in the middle, sometimes demonstration and deployment is very much related. Maybe it can be one step or maybe two steps, but the steps can be separated. When the demo is giving you that satisfactory result, you can go for deployment. Why I am going into this deployment stage step by step? What is the reason of that? Or what is the specialty with the deployment from the fundamental research? I'll be talking to the next slide of that. So before that, again, I'm just revisiting what exactly the 9 steps are here. Yeah. So for the case of this artificial intelligence application of this particular the product that we have selected for that glaucoma, probably these steps are very important that we have written down here, that how we are improving from one step to another step. Now here in the step 1, we have that mathematical formulation, general algorithm, or sometimes basic use we are doing in the tier 1. Second step, we are doing mostly the research part. Number 3, we are doing the scripting part, or in case of this use case, we would be calling it probably the AI kind of programming that would be doing, data science, we can call it. That would be the 3. So that documentation will help us to prove that, okay, this data science application with the data, we are getting this much of accuracy. And that will give you the good result. Because when you are getting the 95% accuracy, then that model will not be no use for it. I'm just talking about 95% because maybe the 95% accuracy is already there with the other business products or other products that's already in the market. So what is the specialty with you that you are coming with 95%? Probably that would be answered by TRL3, that okay, this script by the running the script, I am getting the better result. So that is something before the prototype making or proof of concept making. When we are doing this TRL 1 to 4, you can think of that investment would be a little bit less. When your investment is less, because you have to deploy the little amount of resource. Little amount of resource. The reason is that you are using the lab setup here. So, and that is the specialty with that time I was telling about what is the difference between the deployment and the fundamental research. So that is the important difference, that investment. When it is deployment, the investment would be quite high, because without investment, you cannot properly deploy. For this deployment of AI, especially at this use case, glaucoma use case, you have to use the cloud or different technologies that would be cost carrying factors. So those would be your absolutely this phase, deployment phase, is important for you. Now, I'm coming to that. I'm extending a little bit more. So when I'm talking about this TRL, still we are talking about TRL, and with this TRL, we are getting that the cost of deployment that I have discussed is very important. And when it is the cost, and the cost, it is correlated with the quality. And this TRL level is also very much related, that how that level you are achieving and what the accuracy you are getting and how much cost you are incurring. Probably if you have documented this well, then you are good to go to get the money from the investors or external investors, I'm meaning it. here I am just thinking about that how this case is related to our cost and that level that I have discussed. So that way you have to allocate your budget, because that graph you have seen that particular resource allocation and that budget is important. When you are budgeting well for the resource allocation and uh, the cost calculation, probably you are good. If you are messed up with this point, then probably it will burn your pocket and it will hamper to get funding from outsides. So I am talking about this TRL readiness and funding many times, very much related. Exactly, the reason is that this TRL readiness will bring you or will push you to that level that whether you are ready to get the money or not. And probably the investors would be also looking into this technology point of view. I'm not talking about other aspects, but from the technology aspect, this is very important that they will look into you, that how you are ready to get the fund. Now I'm talking about before 2 minutes break, I would be that break for question to ask me or anything. You can raise your hand. Before that, I'm just summing up that exactly we have 9 scales here. In this particular scale, we have that financing, how that financing would be differentiated. Almost first 3 TRL levels would be giving you that granting kind of thing, philanthropic investment, or your own bootstrapping kind of approach. The responsibility mainly comes with that university R&D institutes. And when you be crossing to that level 3, then again, it would be that that ventures would be attracted. And here you can think of the risk which started at the very highest level, at the very starting point, because when you are thinking to make that product, you are at the absolute risk, because you know you have the business model, you know what is the innovation that you are bringing here, you know that you have already invested well for design thinking and you understood the market. But after that, when you are venturing, the absolute risk comes here at the top level. And when you would be technologically, you would be little bit progressing from the left side to right side, then the risk is decreasing. At the same time, the cost and value both are increasing. Why the cost is increasing? The simple answer is that we have this deployment. It was in the lab. Now it is deployed. When it's deployed, it will be carrying a huge cost. And that cost you have to note down that that cost should be a part of pricing of the product. So that cost is increasing from one readiness to extreme readiness point. I'm just thinking of 6 to 7. So this 6, before going to the series A, series B, you will be finding that your absolute cost is maximum or very high. And also the value that you are getting, it is good. You got your value, the product, and you already been validated or tested from the market. Then I am also I'm also recalling that design thinking here. So many times you are going to market, you are coming back, and that will help to increase your value. So the value of your product is increasing with the technology readiness. Now I'm just concluding what we did, what we have talked so far. So technology readiness is very much related to important 4 terms. 1, the cost. Second, the risk. Third, the value of the product, which is related. And the next one, when the value is quantified, perceived, then probably you are good to go to the market to bring the external fund. So the TRL readiness is also very much related to external funding or external financing.
Yes, a very informative session, sir. Thank you. Sir, your video is not coming.
Sorry?
Sir, your video is not coming.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
I'm in camera.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
okay. I got it. Yeah. Now.
yes. Now perfect, sir. So, dear participant, the session is open for the question answers. So you can unmute yourself and ask your query. Ajma Fatima ma'am has raised her hand, and Kiran sir. Kiran sir. Any other? Because the understanding of TRL, MRL, and IRL is very important for the development of your prototype as well as business. Also, the investor is also liking when you will include the stage, and if you have a deep understanding of this level, you can include in your pitch deck also during the presentation. So I would like to encourage you to kindly unmute yourself and ask if you have any query. Okay, I think there is no query. So is there participant there with us or not? I have just joined the meeting and left your phone. Okay, Shabi ma'am is there.
Sir, I'm also there.
Okay. So if you have any query, you can ask.
Hi.
Although this module is not suggested by the DST, I have requested sir to deliver on TRL, MRL, and IR level, because in your institution, when you are developing the repository of Yukti, initiative of Ministry of Education, then you should go with this TRL, MRL, and IRL level for the. So if you have understanding of this, then you can fill out the form, submit your idea as well as innovation on Yukti portal. Okay, so any query?
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I have
Yes,
a
you are
question.
audible.
Yes, yes. So I have a question. It's a general question. Actually, it's artificial intelligence creates a lot of threat for the jobs. So how can we overcome the unemployment due to AI, and how we can solve the risk from artificial intelligence? So what is your opinion about this, as you are from this field? I'm not able to. I think you are mute.
Sorry, I was in mute. Sorry. So
Okay, thank
I was talking about, this is an absolutely right question at this moment, when that market is flushed with that AI things. Social media is just blocked with the AI things. Probably this is the right question, that whether the AI would be taking our jobs, unemployment would be rising or not. My own opinion, probably it may differ, or it may not be aligned with other people, but my take here, if you consider at least for next 2 years, the market is clumsy, the things are very much changing. So that ratio of intake and employment and unemployment, when I'm talking about employment, it is intake, and if it's unemployment, it is going out, then the ratio would be going out would be higher. Probably I am referring one article or something I was reading. It would be like 1/3. So 7.5, let's say, million would be unemployed, and 2.5 million would be employed. So that difference would be there in next 2-3 years. Now, I'm talking about this next 2-3 years. Now, next 2-3 years, the sustainability of anyone, any individual, is very critical here. But at the same time, when the 3 years we are talking about, 2 to 3 years, we have the good scope to upskill. Probably upskilling of AI is the right answer, that it can help you to get the better job. Now, when I'm talking about the better job, probably after 2-3 years, you will find that the scenario would be changing. What kind of scenario would be changed? That time you would be enjoying AI. That's my opinion. How you would be enjoying? That you are already upskilled, you know how to use AI from a different aspects. It's not that AI, understanding AI is just like scripting, coding. It's not like that. If you understand the AI from the different aspects, then probably you will enjoy how to use AI into your work. And that time, the main objective of AI would be applied. What is the main objective of AI? Main objective is just the repetitive work that is very much boring into your daily life, that would be done by AI. And that time you can find that your absolute, the quality, the skill that you would be using, but now you are using for most of the time for that kind of work that is boring. So those boring works would be done by AI, and you will find your better thinking capability, or you can apply your skill. Yeah, that's my lengthy answer. Yeah.
Sir, this is Mandar Suman from KPGU. I just want to ask that the levels that you have discussed, readiness levels, how it could be absorbed in the society. That is, how we can prepare the society readiness levels for preparing or keeping the systems for this all 3 levels.
Okay, if I understood your question, then I'm trying to answer your question if I understood properly. This is a very good question, and probably that one direct or a very to the point answer is like TRL 3, TRL 4. If you can achieve, think of our use case. Just it's a use case. The glaucoma. If you can achieve, let's say in the market you can find around 95-97% accuracy. Now, if you can reach more than that, let's say 97%, 98% with a little cost, when the cost at present is huge, and if you can bring it into your mobile, then the cost would be reduced. So that after TRL 3, that prototype would be ready, and you can go to the market to show that users that this is ready and this would be applicable to the patients, users. Now, probably that would be your answer, that this TRL measurement or above 3, above 4, that would be very much applicable to the market. When it is market, I'm just considering the society. So if any product would be in the market, go-to-market stage, or at that society applicable stage, then that would be tested well. You will get the result of it, and if the result is good, then funding would be there, and it would be in the level of 7, 8 could be achieved. And that time, probably when you will purchase your mobile, you can get that particular app in free, or maybe by a little amount of subscription. So that probably the benefit of the society.
Any other query? Or should we conclude?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just concluding within next 2 minutes. Probably we are crossing the timeline, is it?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm just taking another 2 minutes to just brief up that how this TRL and MRL is related. Now, when we are at this moment, just think of this use case. Design readiness level is absolutely we have measured from the design thinking. Manufacturing readiness, integration readiness, software readiness. So there are so many defined points up there where we will judge our readiness. All are important. And probably if I say all are important at the very starting point of the startup or product development, it may be not. But most important things that you need to look into, that technology readiness, design readiness, and that design readiness comes into the design thinking. So I am not considering at this moment, but TRL and manufacturing readiness, that is MRL, and integration, these three things, if you can keep ready, then probably you can cross easily TRL 3, TRL 4 level. That good to get money from the outsiders, or one, so you can apply to the market, or you can test it. This MRL is something, it has 10 scale. Now, when you have the design ready, when your product prototype is ready, when the deployment is already done, the cost is increased, now you think of, okay, the market is accepting it. You have that USP, you have the specialty for our use case. Maybe that app is ready with all the things putting together, it's ready. Now that time you need to make the prototype, the multiple times of prototypes, or multiple products you need to demo, you need to create to test. So when you are creating multiple demos, that time you are manufacturing, you are creating that particular demo prototype. You have created a prototype, and then you are making the product which is marketable, and probably the users would be trying, any user. It's not that beta test, or it's not that alpha test that you would be doing with the market. It would be absolutely open, and you would be starting the money probably at that point. And there you need to find out that whether are you ready with the manufacturing. Now, when it is the manufacturing readiness point is coming, probably you can think in two ways. What the way is that do you need to create your own assembly unit? Do you need to create your own manufacturing unit, or you have to outsource that? That question could be answered to the tech transfer. So I am not taking much time. I will be closing soon. So that tech transfer would be helping you to understand, or will help you to go to the market, or outsource the manufacturing. And so you are transferring your IP, intellectual properties, with the process, and you are outsourcing the manufacturing industries or manufacturing units to make your product. Probably that would be helpful to you in the cost, in the revenue, and also from the investment point of view, probably that is very rational. So that tech transfer comes with that manufacturing MRL point or TRL. When the TRL is ready by 4 and 5, around that time, you can think of this. Yeah, I was talking about this. Sorry, I missed that to skip that to slide the this deck. So this is the deck I was talking about. The 10 scales are there, and the prototype concept, prototype from the lab to market, how you can reach. Now, I have written down. It's a very illustrative way that how our use case could be fit or could be set with our MRL here. Making that particular proof of concept, then making the prototype, then pre-production by MRL 3 and the MRL 4 and 5. This 4 and 5 very crucial because sometimes many companies who have gone well till 4 till 5, they failed many times, and this happens with that big companies or big products also. You know that Microsoft, even Apple, even Sony, the big companies, they failed after 4 and 5. So this time probably MRL is important when MRL and your technology or demo that you are doing with the market. Probably these three things all together are very much aligned, and this comes with the deployment also. Deployment comes sometimes with the level 4 to level 6. So it may vary, depends on your use case, but the deployment for the AI deployment starts with the 3 to 4. That time it could be started. So it based on your use case again. I'm not going to much more beyond 6 and beyond 7. That is not probably good to discuss here. But after 10, we are not here. The TRL 10 is pointed out. Absolutely, we understood that 10 levels are there. But after 10, we are not stopping. We must not stop. Then what to do? Probably we don't have much time, but we can think of after 10, what do we need to stop, or do we need to continue the MRL 10? MRL after MRL 10, there may not be MRL 11, may not be, but you have to think of. The answer is yes. You have to think of beyond 10, but that ranking is not 10 to 11. It would be a separate MRL 1, or maybe you can start with MRL 5. MRL 5. How? Like you will create another manufacturing unit. Let us think of our use case, the glaucoma. You are good with that MRL, your product TRL is around 7, 8. Your MRL is almost 10 completed. Now you are thinking of, okay, I am selling my product, my app that is helpful for glaucoma. Maybe we can bring few other things that will help to the users to test their power, regular power check. Or you can extend your services, features of your product, and that time that another assemble unit or another manufacturing unit you would be needed. So my point is that maybe that beyond 10 it's not 11, but maybe MRL, another different MRL would be assembled or would be accompanied with this present MRL. Integration is, I just talked about how the different versions of the OS, different ways, different models of that of any particular mobile, how it could be integrated with your app. Probably that is important. When the camera is there, camera is a separate unit. You are also, so for our use case, you are using two important modules of the mobile. One module is that your camera, another one is the processing unit, or that particular the RAM processor that you are using. So these all together, they would be helpful to you to combine. Yeah. I am not going details into this. So all this together, it is a tech transfer that I told. So tech transfer is that how you can, all the things you can outsource to others and how you can outsource your intellectual property with trust. Many times we can hear that in the medical field, different foreign companies are in the automobile, also in the airlines sector, that different foreign companies are giving the technology to us and we are developing our product. Probably the very primitive automobile industries in India during the time of 70s, 80s were built up using the foreign technologies from Japan, Germany. So that is kind of transfer example here. Yeah, that's all for this discussion. So that transfer is the important part that you can scale up. So for the startup, I can think of that when the investment is coming to you, probably the end stage would be how you can scale up. So that scale up is very much related to your tech transfer. Yeah, I'm good. Any question at this moment?
So, any query? You can unmute yourself to ask the question. I think there is no query, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
It was a nice session again.
Yes.
It's my pleasure that we discussed with a lot of big audience.
Yes, sir. So, audience, yeah. So, sir, we are very grateful to have you as a keynote speaker in this 2-week faculty development program. And we are very grateful that you have accepted our invitation. And kindly accept a digital memento, sir, as a token of appreciation and gratitude from the Galgotia University. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It was again the nice pleasure that I was here to talk before you all. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm just
sir.
logging off, signing off. Good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So we are moving ahead and up for the third session. Our next keynote speaker, Manveen Chadha sir, has joined. He will deliver the talk on types and sources of venture funding support available from the financial institution, including banks. We are very grateful that sir has joined this FDP from their busy schedule. Sir Chadha sir is steadfast at developing a pipeline of promoting deep tech startup with a vision to enable innovation and contribute towards nation building. From the designing, managing incubation program to hand-holding startup to excel in the ecosystem, sir has led various capacity building efforts and technology-based entrepreneurship program, including Delhi Innovation Summit, Sonipat Startup Summit, over the course of 10 years of his career for boosting the entrepreneurial culture among the student, faculty member, innovator, startups, and unemployed youth. Currently, he is working as a senior manager, incubation at Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer, IIT Delhi. He has held various positions, including Chief Executive Officer at KBCNMU Center for Innovation, Incubation and Linkage, Senior Incubation Manager at Santosh University, Ghaziabad, and Incubation Manager at IIT Mandi, Catalyst. So we would like to invite our keynote speaker Manveen Chadha sir to deliver his talk. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So very good afternoon to all. And as the topic suggests, I have to tell more about what are the funding opportunities for not only, I would say, startups, but also for the faculty members, for the researchers. There are a lot of funding which is available. There are different kinds of funding which are available, and as per the NASSCOM report also, you can access to early stage funding, which is almost 40% of whatever is the total fund available. And in terms of ease of doing business also, it's like now 20%. India is improving day by day in terms of ease of doing business. Also access to mentorship, which is an important part, because funding is just one of the key factor required to kickstart your product development. But mentorship, I think, is the most important part which is required at the initial stage when you start building the product. And plus, once you start coming up with your startup registration and all that, so you also need to get the tax incentives, the legal compliances and all, which is now a very much friendly schemes available to startups by Government of India. So these are some of the key factors which I would say not only government but private side are also looking for in order to ease the startup journey of any innovator. So some of the support initiatives which are available is from DST, Government of India, Department of Biotechnology, BIREC scheme is there, then Atal Innovation Mission, then we have Meaty Startup Hub from Ministry of Electronics, then we have IDEX, which is a new initiative by Ministry of Defense, started few years back, where they are supporting all defense related problem statements and looking for innovative solutions. So there are different schemes, different amount of grant, equity, loan available that I will discuss in detail one by one. So these are few of the, I would say, also, in addition to add this, we have also micro, small, medium enterprises, MSME, which do a lot of activities in term of grant available of up to 15 lakh for initial seed money, which startup required in order to build the prototype. And also they do a lot of hackathon activities that help startups to get some kind of a grant funding to build the prototype. So funding are different options. As I mentioned, it can be grant. If it is a grant, then there is no risk factor involved for a startup, as you don't have to repay that grant back. But still, whatever grant you will get from any of the incubation center or for any of these schemes, there will be a milestones attached to it. Depending upon the milestones, a grant will be released to you. But there is no such risk factor for startups as compared to debt or equity. So debt is a lower risk, but equity is at higher risk. But that risk is for investor, not for startup. But startup in terms of equity, because you are taking someone money and you have to prove your product outcome. Finally, you have to grow so that investor gets some money out of it. They always look for returns. So these are three kind of models which mostly we deal with. Now in equity also there are different models. One is you transfer an equity at the time of raising funds. So maybe let's say today I'm going to put 50 lakhs in your company, and according to the valuation you will transfer XYZ amount of equity to me through shareholding transfer. But there are other options now in equity which we called CCD, CCPS, which is convertible debentures and compulsory convertible debentures and then preferential shares. So in that, the good part for the startup is when you look for CCPS and CCD options, it's more about that today I'm going to give you some money, and I will say that whenever you will raise the next round of funding. So that can be 1 crore 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 5 year, whatever. But I will put one clause that minimum this would be the time period when you raise the next round of funding, and whatever valuation you will raise that funding at that valuation, my 50 lakh will get converted into the equity. So at that, the good part in this is you don't have to do any such compliances at the time of equity transfer. If you see, CS take a lot of compliances that are to be done in order to file all this. So lot of expenses incurred while raising equity fund. It's not about just raising funds. You also have to pay a lot of amount to government and other drafting and all. But if you go for CCPS and all, so at the time of raising funds in the CCPS, you don't have to pay anything, and there is very minimum compliances involved. It's whatever will happen at the later stage when you raise the next round of funding. And at that point of time, you will convert your equity, your CCPS, which is the preferential shares, into equity to the previous investor. So these are some of the options which startup now look for. They are more friendly in terms of the CCPS option will not work there. Most probably, they will definitely go with a simple equity transfer. Now, the teams, the startups which work on manufacturing, which work on asset-based, they also look for a lot of debt financing at a lower interest rate. So there are some schemes where you get mix of debt and equity. The good part is you are losing less equity with this amount of funding, and the interest rate is very less for debt. For example, if you raise debt outside in the market, the interest rate even in the interest rate will go around 12, 13, 15%, 20%. But if you go with the government schemes, so in some of these schemes, the debt financing, if you're opting for a debt, then the interest rate will be somewhere around repo rate, which is up to 5%. So that helps a lot to startups because it's not a very big amount in terms of interest, and you're not losing your equity. So these are some of the options which are available. Now in equity, you can go for angel investment, you can go with family friends, you can go with VCs, you can go to incubators, accelerators. In debt also, you can reach out to incubators, accelerators. But the major chunk which provide debt is banks and the non-banking financial institution, NBFCs. And some of these schemes are CGT, MSE, Mudra Loan, and Stand Up India, which most of the government and private banks are doing their debt financing through these schemes. If we talk about grant, then it's mostly through hackathons, it's through central government, state government schemes, which are there to provide you the grants. Now, this is the valley of death. Maybe some of you have already seen this graph. So when we start at a very early stage, we look for seed fund, which is up to 5 lakh, 10 lakh of some grant that we look for. And there comes the angel investor at this point of time. Once you start building your product through this seed fund and you have a TRL 3-4 level. So at that 4-5 level, when you are ready with your prototype and you are good to go with the deploying pilots, at that point of time angels enter into your company, and then once you successfully deploy and now you have a customer, then some VCs or a debt funding will start coming. And once you deploy all your products successfully, you have a good pipeline of POs with you, then definitely large VCs and other people will start entering into this at a later stage, and then finally IPO. So these are some of the schemes which are available, and FITT also provides or supports these schemes. So at an ideation stage, you have BIREC, you have we have another scheme from Samsung, Solve for Tomorrow program, through which we support idea-based startups. Through SPURT scheme also, idea-based startups are supported. Then there is Tide 2.0, which is when you are at the idea stage. Then there are two schemes under Tide 2.0, which is Ministry of Electronics, and that is EIR and grant. So EIR is entrepreneurship and residence, and grant is when you have a prototype with you. And EIR is at a very ideation stage, when you are just at an idea and you are looking to deploy a lab-based prototype and come up with the prototype, then you can definitely go ahead and apply for Type 2.0 EIR. And otherwise, you can go ahead with grant if you are at very prototype stage. I will also tell you the funding availability of amount of chunk which is available as a grant. Then we have some schemes called IDEX. IDEX also throw round the year problem statements, the challenges. And it's not only that you have to only focus on those challenges, but if you think there is some problem statement which can help any of the tri services, Navy, Army, or Air Force, then definitely on their website, on the IDEX website, you can go and submit your problem statement, submit your solution, and they will get back to you on this. So it's like round the year, they look for such problem statements for such solutions that can help Army, Navy, or Air Force to come up with the unique and innovative solutions. And they also provide at idea come prototype stage the funding support. Then we have some more schemes, Startup India Seed Fund scheme by Government of India. Then there are some innovation programs by corporates like Sona Comstar do innovation program. Boeing has their build program. EIL also do their EngSui program. So these are some of the programs which corporates do in order to provide you grant so that you can build some prototype out of it and take it further to the market level through incubators. Then we have some schemes which look for commercialization. So Bayrak Seed, DST supported Nidhi Seed Support System. Then we have also launched FITT Seed Fund. So these are some of the schemes at a later commercialization stage where you can apply for all these schemes if you are ready to deploy your product and you have customers in your bucket. Then there are some schemes which also use for early market traction, Bayrak Leap, then SISFS का investment fund hai, that is also available for market traction, and then the accelerator programs. So we are running currently two accelerator program. One is the DS Center of Entrepreneurship and another one is Meta Accelerator, which supports AR/VR programs. So these are some of the support programs by DST. I will go one by one. Nidhi TBI is now not there. Instead of that, they have launched Nidhi ITBI, which any incubator can apply. There are some conditions to it while applying that you should have a balance sheet of last 2 years and you should have a 5,000 square feet of area and all that stuff. So that's the basic requirement that you have to show. You should have a separate Section 8 company, and then you have a plan that but all manpower you are going to deploy there. So all those guidelines and I would say mandatory terms and conditions which required in order to apply for Nidhi ITBI, and you can apply that and get funding support up to 5 CR. And through this 5 CR, you can put some money in infrastructure, some money in setting up the lab facility, and also some money to put in the startups, which is a grant of up to 10 lakhs. So a good scheme to start with for any of the incubators through which they can support their student innovations and also startups who are looking for some grant at the initial stage. Then we have Nidhi EIR, similar to TIDE EIR. Nidhi has also EIR, which is the Entrepreneurship and Residence Program, where any startup innovator can get a monthly stipend of up to 30,000 and an yearly stipend of up to 4 lakhs, through which they can also take care of getting their ideation convert into prototype and also take care of some of their, I would say, rental, food and all that. So it's a scheme that is used to promote more and more students to come forward and start thinking something innovative. Then after Nidhi EIR, it comes Nidhi Prayas. So Nidhi Prayas focus more on hardware-based startups. It's totally focused on hardware, nothing to do with software. Startups who are working in hardware domains, they are good to go ahead and apply, and it's a good amount of grant of up to 10 lakhs which you can avail through Nidhi Prayas. Then you have Nidhi Seed Support System. So once you are ready with the product MVP stage and now you have some customers and you have to fulfill orders and enter market, then you can go ahead and apply for Nidhi Seed Support System, where you can get a funding of up to 50 lakhs. But this is not a grant. Nidhi Seed Support is a mix of loan and equity. So that is not a grant in Nidhi SSS. Then finally, if I talk about incubator perspective, the biggest scheme is Nidhi Center of Excellence, which provide you a funding support of 40 crores for 5 years, where you set up a research park and also you come up with the full-fledged office space, co-work space for startups, lab facility, everything. So it's a kind of a research park which you create under the Nidhi Center of Excellence. It's the biggest scheme that Nidhi provides. And these are some of the schemes which is now no more active. That was during the COVID time, Nidhi for COVID and cover schemes. Going forward, MITI provides three types of funding: Type 2.0, as I already mentioned, EIR and grant. So in EIR, you can get up to 4 lakhs, and in grant, you can get up to 7 lakhs. And similarly, there is a Samridh scheme where you can get a funding of up to 40 lakhs. Market stage, which is at TRL 8-9, and you have to bring a matching amount from any of the investor or friends and families or corporates, whatever. So if any of the incubator is giving you, let's say 40 lakhs under the Samridh scheme, so they also look for similar amount of matching funding from any of the investors, and then you can get this 40 lakhs. And it has nothing to do with grant or something. This is also an equity based investment. Then there is another program by Meta, which is the accelerator program, where they support startups and provide them a funding support of up to 20 lakhs, and that is pure grant. But here the domain is only AR/VR. They only look for augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality solutions. So these are the three schemes which Ministry of Electronics
सेकंड मतलब तो 5-7 दिन तक पूरी करनी है फर्स्ट.
Is there any question from anyone? Okay, so I'm moving ahead. Now, as I mentioned, there are some schemes by MSME. One of them is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, then Credit Guarantee Scheme, CGTSME. Now, this scheme is also run by most of the banks, which provide you a debt funding of up to 10 crores. So if you're looking for a debt funding and you are at that stage where you are looking to fulfill your orders and everything, and a lot of, I would say, fund is required in building the fixed asset, then this is one of the scheme which you can look for, because investors don't put money into assets. They put money into technology, they put money into entering market, they put money into acquiring customers. They don't like to put their money if you ask them for setting up a plant. So fixed asset they avoid. So for that you can go ahead with the banks which provide a good amount of 10 CR of loan, but the interest rate is anyhow around 12 to 13%. So this is one of the big call which is currently open also. Last date is 15th August. And if any one of startups, faculty members who are interested, they can apply for this scheme. The only thing with the BIREX schemes is it's limited to medical, biotechnology, and agriculture. That's the, I would say, fixed domain that they have mentioned. But if we talk about DST schemes, which is Nidhi, seed support and all, so they all are sector agnostic. There is nothing to do with the sectors as such. Then similarly, we have BIREX Seed and Leap. This is also a good scheme where you get up to 30 lakhs of seed fund. And it's a good amount of investment which BIREX provides you. And in the Leap, you can get up to 1 crore of funding. So these are some of the schemes. Now Type 2.0, it is also currently open. If you any one of you are interested, then you can apply for this scheme. I already mentioned this 4 lakh and 7 lakh of funding which is available. Now these are some of these schemes which I have already explained you one by one. I will not go deep into it. Only the one which is left is, I think, Atal Innovation Mission, which provides a funding of up to 10 crore to any of the incubator for 5 years. So every year you will get a 2 crore of funding, where you can support manpower expenses, administrative expenses, set up a lab, organize events around the year, masterclass and all. But AIM do not provide any fund for supporting startups as such currently. Now there are some schemes which are good for faculty members. Direct PACE is one of them, under which there is Academic Innovation Research and Contract Research Scheme. These are the two schemes which most of the faculty members avail for their completing the research work and finally get it converted into market ready product. Now, what all any of the incubator, any of the schemes that you apply, what all they look for while submitting the proposal? So the first and foremost point is they look for a clear problem statement through which they want to understand what is the context, what is the problem statement you are solving. Is there any alternative available in the market currently? Who will be the customer? How you are impacting? What will be the impact in terms of customer acquiring? And is there any alternative shortcomings? Do you feel there are any challenges or a disadvantage for whatever problem statement you're working right now? Then also they look for, is there any IP involved? The product that you want to build, will that be patentable product or not? So that's one of the key is IP protected? Is there any entry to barrier for your competitors or not? Then team is the most important part, which is everybody looks for. Team is one thing in which they want to understand the skill of the founders, the technical skills, business skills, and also the advisors who are there in the current startup. So that is one more factor which any of the schemes as well as no, if there is no competitor, then such slides are not required. But if there is a competitor, then you have to mention about each and every competition that is available in the market. Then what is your product? Highlight the technical novelty, what is there, what is the differentiating factor, and what is the unique value proposition. So for unique value proposition, we always recommend to prepare a business model canvas. Maybe you already had a separate session on this, will not go deep dive into it. It's every investor, every, I would say, jury member would like to see what is your business model canvas that you want to do. And most of the time they look for lean canvas. And then what will be the objective and milestone going forward if you're applying for any of these schemes? And what will be the prototyping stage, how you're going to take it forward, and then what will be the certification. So there might be some startups who are working on medical domain. So do you require any ethical approvals? Do you require any certifications? Do you require any regulatory clearances? So all these points are important in terms of understanding the risk involved in taking this product journey forward. So all the jury who is there, investors who would look for from whom we are looking to raise funds, they look for all these challenges and understand the risk factors. And it is important, we should not hide this. We should put it as much openness as possible, because this helps the person sitting in front of you to also understand what all is required and how maybe they can add value to it, or maybe they can help you in understanding that whether you should take it forward or not. So that most of the time we see that there might be a B2G solution where you have only government clients, and then maybe you required a lot of certifications, lot of regulatory clearances. So at that point of time it becomes challenging for investor to put money on you. And then what will be the roadmap going forward when you're going to complete product development, when you're going to complete certifications, when you start your pilot, how you're going to launch this product. So all this is required in order to understand in detail your product journey. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions on any of these schemes or something, then let me know. If anybody has any questions, you can ask.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Good afternoon, sir. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to know that is it prior appreciated that while going for a prototype or so, before that we need to file a provisional patent or so before launching the product or before going for the funding process?
Yeah, it is important to apply for the provisional patent because it's like once you start building the product, then maybe you connect with lot of technical mentors. And at that point of time, also a lot of innovators say that I don't want to disclose my technology. So can we sign an NDA? So second option is you signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement with the advisor or technical person or business person. But most of the time startups avoid all this, and a person, technical person, would also not like to sign this because they feel that it's nothing very I would say technical. Whatever you have created, it's not very unique at that point of time. You have just started building. So it's better you go ahead with provisional patent, so that you should also be not in a problem that maybe if I will share this and tomorrow if it is get copied. So both the options are open, but in the second option, it depends upon the technical advisor and mentor that how flexible he is in signing the non-disclosure agreement. I hope.
Yes, sir. I got the answer.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're
Am I
audible.
audible? Yeah. Thanks for that informative lecture. I just want to know that is there any particular portal or database where we can find information about all these schemes and
So as such, there is no such portal, but you have to go to the each and every website of, for example, if I talk about Nidhi schemes, you have to visit DST website. If I am talking about Ministry of Electronics schemes, then you have to visit MeitY website. So in all their website, you will see all these details.
Hello,
thank you so much.
I'm audible.
Sir, I have a
Yeah.
doubt. Is there any difference between MSME registration and Startup India registration?
Yeah, there is a difference. MSME registration is about Udyog registration. It's an Udyog Aadhaar registration. But Startup India registration gives you the DPIIT registration, which most of the, I would say, incubators or when you apply for any of the schemes, most of the criteria now is like you should be a DPIIT registered. For example, if you apply for Startup India Seed Fund scheme, then that's the mandatory requirement that you should not be 2 years older firm and you should be a DPIIT registered.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
is there any supports and or any financial grants that
Hello,
has been
sir.
available for
I am audible.
conducting some, we can say that,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
events related to the entrepreneurship startups or related to that?
So as such, I would say there is no such scheme which only catered to events. For example, if I talk about programs like this, FDP and also DST support this through DST NIMIT programs in order to organize such programs, TEDP, EDP, FDP. But in order to organize events, the good option is, for example, if you're organizing an hackathon, then maybe I think MSME gives some of the funding in order to organize hackathons. Secondly, the best option which I suggest to most of the incubators or maybe who are running IICs, that get a problem statement from any of the industry. Whoever is like keen in getting new solutions, new innovative solutions they are looking for, get the problem statements from them and try to see if they can come forward with some of the sponsorship. For example, because you are going to provide them that solution, maybe a free of cost. And the good part is it will be a win-win situation for all. So industry is getting a solution maybe in the end, or maybe they will not get. Both options may be possible, that you will not get any successful solution. But at least you try for it and maybe you will get some solution out of it. Secondly, the good part is maybe the final, because most of the time what startups say or an innovator say that, sir, once I will build this, where I have to deploy it? So you have that company, that industry who has given you the problem statement. So maybe you can guide them further in order to deploy their product finally in that industry, and through that maybe they will get good further exploring options to put that or replicate that product in the similar industries. So a good chunk of order they can get later on. Because you will get maybe some amount of, I would say 50,000, 1 lakh, whatever. And similarly, don't go for a single problem statement at a time. Maybe you can have 3-4 problem statements in different sectors, and you can have all those companies as an sponsors, and maybe a small amount, 50,000 give you a 2 lakh of funding, which is good to go and organize an hackathon. I hope I answer your query.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I have a doubt related to the business plan development or business canvas model.
Yeah.
Idea,
Sorry,
raw
your voice is
material.
I have a question. Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody else was speaking.
So, yeah.
Yeah, please.
So am I clear?
Yeah, you're clear.
How to develop the financial requirement for the next 5 years for any innovative idea? So based on the raw materials, employment and setup facility, everything. So while applying the idea or business canvas model, so we need to specify that. How do we develop that one?
I think, sir, see, it depends upon idea to idea. I can't tell you right now that how to build this, because you have to prepare a complete Excel of all the expenses. What will be,
Is
and
there
also
any
you have to show revenue
is there,
projections in that.
is there any tool or Excel sheet available for that so that we can put the value and get the requirements?
So there is no such tool as I know. You have to sit and understand what will be the requirement. Startup founders have to brainstorm and see. And also it, because see why tool is not there, because depending upon your product, you need to see, maybe for example, today you are going to deliver 100 pieces in a year. Tomorrow, maybe your plan is to go ahead and deliver 500 pieces. So accordingly, you have to figure out per piece cost, and then what will be the margin, and then accordingly find out the revenue. So tools, I don't know if there is any such tool available where you can just put in numbers and everything you will get. I doubt. I don't have such knowledge of this tools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other
query? Yes.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
please.
please.
Yeah. Sir, for medical devices specifically, could you just name a few incubators?
Ma'am, FITT is one of them,
Yeah,
which
of
works
course.
on
Yes.
healthcare medical. Then you
RCM
have,
is also.
then other than, you are looking only in Delhi NCR, or you're talking all over India?
Sir, no, preferably Delhi NCR, sir.
Okay, in Delhi NCR, then you have AIMS is there, where you
Okay,
can
sir.
look for support, but that is more on to getting the clinical trials. Other
Okay, sir.
than that, in Delhi NCR, I don't think there is any other high-end equipment who is working on specifically. Then there are hospitals only, which is government, Safdarjung
Okay.
and all.
Okay, sir.
But yeah, other than that, in Delhi NCR, I'm not sure, but outside I know a lot of names.
Yeah. If you can name them also, if there are not many in Delhi NCR, that would be nice.
Then there is Venture Center Pune. Then
Okay, sir.
there is IIT Madras is also there. They are
Right,
also
sir.
working good in healthcare. Then in healthcare domain, you have iCreate is there, who is also
Okay, sir.
working on healthcare. So I think maybe you can visit Direct site. You will see all the big partners there.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
There you will get a list of all the incubators who are associated under Direct.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, please. I think there is one question from Dr. Sundara. So you're not audible. Dr. Gaurav, he is not audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sundaram, sir, if you have a query, you can put in the chat box. Okay. Any other query? I think there is some technical fault with the Sundaram, sir. Any other query from the participant? I think there is no query, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes,
Can you
yes.
hear me now?
Yes, yes, please.
Sir,
Yes,
I
you are
have
audible.
I have one doubt. Like, suppose we are faculty at some colleges, so and we want to apply for these schemes like BIRAC and this kind of different schemes. As a permanent faculty, how can we do that? Because we can't run a company or like that things. So, what kind of criteria you are following for that?
You can run a company, it's allowed, but that depends upon your college policy. I don't want to comment on all these, but it is allowed to run a company. It's nothing as such. Even if you are a regular faculty somewhere, we have IIT Delhi
Okay.
professors here, and they are involved in a lot of BIRAC schemes. Maybe they are not alone, I would say, but yeah, they have their PhD students also involved into it as one of the founder or co-founder, I can say. And also, it's not only about BIRAC. Even there are faculty members in IIT Delhi who are incubated with us. But maybe they have not coming daily to our incubation center, but yeah, they are working out of their labs, and they have some students involved into it.
They
Yes, sir.
involved like
In
they are involved technical basis or they gain something like financial part of all this.
Yeah, they gain equity also.
Okay.
Faculties also take some equity in the company.
yes.
Okay.
Shailen,
Thank you
sir,
so
you
much.
just go with the NISP policy that is released by Ministry of Education on 2019. It is available on website, and if your institute has established the Institute Innovation Council, they might be adopted the NISP also. So National Innovation and Startup Policy. So in this, there is some clause for the faculty startup that you cannot accept some gift like that, and but you can be a founder member. You can hold a position of CEO, so on limited equity basis.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other query? So I think this session was very brainstorming, and Manveen sir, I am very fortunate that you have delivered such an informative talk, because in your presentation, the faculty member has learned a lot about the various type of schemes. And on behalf of the on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to request you to kindly accept the digital memento, sir.
Thank you, sir.
As a gratitude of the from the organizing committee. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, and thank you all the participants. Thank you.
ये सिर्फ की जो वर्कशॉप बाहर करवाने जैसे लास्ट टाइम क्या लगा उस टाइम
Okay. Anyone has any query? Okay. So thank you, dear all participants, to making this event successful.